Hey everybody, and welcome to our first tutorial on genetic algorithms. Now, I have been wanting to make this video for the longest time, and today it's finally going to become a reality. Now, I know there are a lot of other genetic algorithm videos here on YouTube, but this one's going to stand out. I'll quickly go over the high-level concepts and explain what genetic algorithms are, but then we're going to deep dive into implementing our own genetic algorithm in C# using no external libraries. Now, if you're following along at home, we won't be using anything that's too C# specific, so you should be able to adapt this to your favorite language. This genetic algorithm, or GA, from here on out, will be generic enough to work across a wide number of problems that you might have. Then, we're going to use it to implement our very own self-driving cars that were demonstrated in this video here. It was a lot of fun making that video. Please do check it out. Let's get started with an example. In our example here, we have a population of birds. And while all the birds are the same species, there's some diversity in the population with how they look. Some naturally have darker colorings while others have lighter. We also have 4 owls who really like to eat these birds but have no preference over what color they are. They all taste equally as good. But let's say our owls are getting hungry and they go out hunting. Owls are well known for their good eyesight, but even with that, in our example here, it's much easier to see the darker birds against our bright backdrop. So the owls go hunting and they each eat a bird. Because the darker birds were easier to see, more of them get eaten. But a lighter bird also gets eaten just by random chance. The remaining individuals in the population breed and produce 4 offspring to fill the void that the owls have left. Because there is a higher percentage of lighter coloured birds left in the population, the likelihood of them breeding and producing lighter colour offspring is higher. Let's play through this scenario one more time. The owls get hungry and go out in search of food. As before, they each eat a bird. This time, the remaining birds in the population are all white. As a result, all their offspring are also white. But during this process, we see that one of the birds doesn't look like either of its parents. This is known as a genetic mutation. In nature, as DNA copies itself, sometimes it makes small mistakes, and these mistakes are what's known as mutations. Most of the time, mutations are small or have no outward impact on the individual. But some of the time they could be cancerous, or in rare occasions they might make the individual better for surviving in their environment, also known as being more fit. As you can see here, this mutation did make this individual more fit, so you can imagine that after a few more generations, the majority of the population would likely be entirely this new color. Now, this may sound a little too convenient of an example, however. A scenario extremely close to this happened in England during the Industrial Revolution with moths. At the time, the peppered moth population was mostly white with black specks, with a small percentage of the population being mostly black. Sound familiar? At this time, the trees in the areas surrounding the factory started to get covered in black soot. By the turn of the 20th century, the moth population was 98% black. As the Industrial Revolution died down, the light moth population bounced back to the point where they were once again the dominant color of moth. Pretty amazing stuff. There are links to all of this down in the description. Please go check it out. So how can we take this and translate it into something that we can leverage to solve complex optimization problems, or even train a neural network how to drive a car? So let's just quickly go over the required components of the GA. For our breeding algorithm to run, we need a population of individuals. This means we need some method of encoding the problem that we want to solve into our individual. Encoding our problem is often the hardest part of designing our GA. The creation of individuals is called spawning. When spawning a new population, we want to ensure that the population has enough diversity or variability to get good coverage of the solution space. Once we have a population, we need a method of combining the genetic traits of individuals as we breed them. This is known as a crossover. A crossover is an approach that we use to simulate the combination of DNA from 2 parents when they have offspring. An effective crossover is one of the most complex systems that we need to design when working with a genetic algorithm. You want to ensure that traits from both parents remain, while ensuring that their offspring are feasible given some real-world constraints. Think if we're trying to breed the optimal human for swimming, it may be ideal for them to have gills, but this kind of violates the must be human constraint. Then we need a method of introducing additional variability into our problem, a mutation operator. So the mutation operators that we create are an attempt to mimic the mutations that happen in nature as discussed earlier. However, as we're handcrafting this mutation operator, we can mutate as little or as much as we want, or add smarter methods of mutation, or really be as creative as we want to ensure that we yield the best results out of our GA. The last component that we need for our GA is a method of determining the fitness for an individual. In our case of our bird example previously, the birds that were better blended in with their environment were more fit. However, when encoding any problem in a GA, we need some method of converting this individual in the population into a number representing how fit it is. Great. So now that we have all of the components of the GA, let's talk about the process that our core GA will follow. Let's say that we are given the task of finding the minimum of the function f of x is equal to x squared within the range -2 to +6. You might be able to intuitively know that the minimum of this function is at x equals 0, but keep in mind, this is a super basic example and the problems our GA will be solving will be exponentially harder. We will start by spawning a population of solutions to the problem, our individuals. In this case, each individual is represented by a single float value, the value of x, within the range -2 to +6. Therefore, each individual will be created with a random value within this range. The number of individuals in our population is entirely up to us, or more realistically, it's entirely up to how good of a computer you have, but in our example here, let's just go with 10. We then need to give each of our individuals a fitness rating. In our case here, it's pretty simple. The lower the resultant value when plugged into our equation, the fitter our individual is. So for individual 1 with a value of 2.35, when we square it, we get a result of 5.52. For individual 2, we have minus 0.25, and when squared, that's 0.0625, and so on. So individual 2 is fitter than individual 1. Now that we have our population, each with their respective fitnesses, we can start the breeding process. While the implementation of this breeding process can vary, the way that we'll be doing it in this series is as follows. We select 2 parents from the population. When making this selection, it should be random, but it should also be slightly more likely to select parents that are fitter. This is known as biased random. Don't worry if this sounds a little bit difficult, we'll go through it in detail in a later video. Now that we've got 2 parents, we get to the crossover. The crossover takes 2 individuals and results in a child or offspring individual that shares the traits of its parents. Again, we'll go through this process in much greater detail later, but for now, just know that we're more likely to generate an offspring that has a value close to or between its 2 parents' values. For instance, if we have an individual with a value of minus 0.25 and another with a value of 0.75, their offspring could have a value of around 0.3. At this point, we have the opportunity to introduce our mutation operator. The mutation operator only gets used on offspring to ensure the integrity of the best individuals in our population. Our mutation operator is pretty simple. It adds some value between negative 0.5 and 0.5 randomly to the offspring. In this case, let's say it adds minus 0.31. Great, so we've now created an offspring with a value of minus 0.01. We now repeat this process until there are 2 times the initial population. We then calculate the fitness of all of our new offspring. Next, we order our population from best, most fit, to worst, least fit. Then, we remove the bottom half of the population. This guarantees that the generation of breeding can never cause our best solution to become worse than the generation before. The only progress that we can ever see is that we will stay as good as the previous generation or get better. We then repeat this process while we're still seeing improvements from one generation to another. If some time has passed and we are no longer seeing any improvements, we take the best individual from our population and we offer it up as a solution. It's that simple. So it's important to note here that these 3 systems, spawning, crossover, and mutation, will be unique for any problem that we attempt to solve using a GA. However, with this tutorial series and a little bit of practice, you'll start to see how GAs can be applied to so many problems that you come across in your personal and professional lives. That will be all for this one. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one where we will start to dig into some code and create our very own genetic algorithm from scratch.